Today's podcast is brought to you by Casper.com. Receive $50 towards any mattress purchase at www.caspertrial.com/SIBSB.
Until I met my new best friend, all of my boys say I'm tripping. When they call, I'm not answering. They always get my voicemail cause I'm...
And Alex, are we rolling? We are rolling. Welcome to another episode of Sorry I've Been So Busy, the podcast where busy people talk about what they're busy with. Sometimes not very busy people talk about what they pretend to be busy with all day. Andrew Goldstein's here looking at pictures of food on his phone.
On Twitter, ANGEGOLD.
What are you looking at over there? Is that like a
My
meatball
wife's
sub?
dinner.
What is she eating?
She ordered a burger for herself.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Yeah, and a shake. She deserves it. She's pregnant.
Yeah, she is. She's eating for, what's the expression? Eating for two.
Eating for two.
I'm Matt Goldich, at Matt Goldich on Twitter, MattGoldich. We got great guests coming up in a few minutes. We're here at Showbiz Studios, the wonderfully air-conditioned Showbiz Studios.
Best AC in the business.
Producer Alex is here. Check out all their podcasts, showbizstudios.com, the YouTube page, the Facebook page. Check out our Facebook page, our Twitter, at Busy Podcast, and please rate and review us on iTunes. That's it for promotion. We do not have a busybody this week. People have stopped leaving iTunes reviews.
Please,
And
start it back up.
Shame all of you. We have a lot, but they're old. Any other business to get out of the way before, Andrew, we talk about what you're busy with?
I'm so mad at myself because we had the wonderful Julia Young on last week.
Yes.
And I forgot to bring up the best thing to bring up, which is that she was a producer on Jesus and Mero.
Oh, yeah?
I buried the lead, man.
Is that she is currently, or?
No, she was. No, the
was.
show's off the air, Matt.
Oh, right, yeah.
They're,
I was going to say, well,
developing their new one. But no, she, towards the end of their run, she was like pitching jokes and behind the because she met them on Joking Off.
Cleanup. Well, that's a little cleanup. We'll have her back. She was great.
Shout out to Julia Young, who is like killing it, and she was a producer.
Thanks for everybody who listened to that episode. Yes,
I'm just mad at myself. I'm getting rusty in my old age.
Other than harboring grudges against yourself, is there anything in particular you've been busy with?
Yeah, well, let's keep it curmudgeonly, and occasionally on this podcast, I've come in with some Subway pet peeves. I have another one. I have a new one.
Yep. Okay.
I'm not here to judge panhandlers.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing their hustle.
Sure.
That's what they're busy with
Times
every
are
day.
tough. Inequality is increasing.
Exactly. But this has happened to me a few times recently. I'm on a super packed train. I moved. I'm very high up now on the one line. The one is a very crowded train.
Yeah.
And I'm on a sardine packed, the most packed a subway car can be, shoulder to shoulder, no seats, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the panhandler still is doing his announcement and trying to get through.
Yeah.
To ask people for the donation.
Yeah.
And it's like, read the room.
Yeah.
Not the time.
No. Well, what do you want him to do? What's your preference?
Hang out for a couple hours till it dissipates.
Yeah.
And then read the room.
Yeah. So, it doesn't make sense for him to be on an empty train, though, because he's not going to do well. Or maybe he will. Maybe the one-on-one connection.
The perfect train is the, midday, half-packed, most people are seated, and, a sprinkling of people standing up.
Yeah.
So you can navigate through the corridor.
I mean, the good thing about not panhandling, if you're a panhandler, is you're not going to get in trouble. They're not going to kick you off the train, or the cops are not going to hassle you for not panhandling. So you may as well just
hang out. What else do they have to do that day?
Did he make any?
They don't have appointments.
I mean, you would have to look at a spreadsheet. Does he have an algorithm?
I'm standing there. I can't even have my backpack. I can't even have my backpack on because there's literally no room. I have to put it at my feet, and this guy's trying to weave through the people.
So he's trying to get through, and it's frustrating.
Read the room.
Yeah.
That's
okay. That's your. It's funny you mentioned this because I had an interaction with a proselytizer, a religious proselytizer, where my family and I were standing outside Central Park Sunday evening, and some Mormons came up to us. And they tried to give us information about the Mormon church. And I said, I'm not interested. And then they were like, well, if you ever are, our church is down here. And I was like, clearly, I'm barely making eye contact with you.
Also, you're the most Jewish-looking person of all time.
And I was thinking about how I came up with, it was one of those things where I came up with the perfect response after they left.
Jerk store.
Which is what I should have said was, we're here from the Mormon Church, and I should have said, "Oh, it's so funny you're here. I was actually thinking about joining the Mormon Church right up until you bothered me, and now I'm definitely not going to." Like if I had just been like, "You ruined it." I was actually, I'm in the market for a new religion, but I'm so anti-proselytizing. It's sort of the same way I feel when I get a text from the Cynthia Nixon campaign where I'm like, I was going to vote for you right up until I got my third text of the
right
day.
In this neighborhood, the Orthodox Jews were with the lulav and the etrog.
They're the worst. They're giving us all a bad...
They ask you, are you Jewish? And then if you say yes, they try to get you to say the prayers over the lulav.
They're giving all Jews a bad name. And Jews are specifically not supposed to.
Speaking of Orthodox Jews, our guest today
kind of
looks like one.
I do get mistaken.
We're going to introduce him right after the break. For you, the listeners of Sorry I've Been So Busy, Casper is offering $50 towards any mattress purchase at Casper.com. This is something we talk about all the time on the podcast. Everybody's so busy. They don't get enough sleep. Their sleep is interrupted. They got their phone by the bed. They're checking it in the middle of the night. We're not going to change any of these things, so why not get a better sleep on a better mattress from Casper.com? To receive $50 towards any mattress purchase, go to CasperTrial.com/SIBSB. Again, that's CasperTrial.com/SIBSB for $50 towards any mattress purchase. And we're back with our guest. Andrew, go ahead. Who's our guest?
Very excited. We've been trying to get this guy on for a long time. Very accomplished stand-up comedian and writer.
Accomplished beard, for sure.
More accomplished beard than
just an incredible beard.
Thank you very
bearded
much,
man.
sir.
Dan St. Germain is on the podcast.
Lovely to be here, gentlemen.
DSG.
Welcome.
Thank you for having
Do you
me.
have any thoughts on either panhandlers and or
I had
proselytizers?
I had a couple thoughts. As far as I used to have this whole bit, but it was like completely true. It wasn't even a bit; it was just a story. But there was one guy who came in on the subway and he had no legs, and he was like, he had one of those square. It was like the scene from Kids, where the kid on the skateboard.
I
and he
have
was
no
doing
legs.
this, and he was basically saying the same shit. I forget what it, but it was an iteration of that. And he came in and he was just like burnt. He was all fucked up. And then it was the greatest moment of my life because another panhandler came in, and I'd seen him before, and he was like, I'm not going to bullshit you. I just kind of want a beer right now. And he came in, and he looked at that guy, and he goes, fuck. And he left the train for another car.
Steve.
Where he's like, I'm not beating this guy, like, you kidding me? I'm not going to follow that.
I don't know. I'd be more likely to give it to the I just want a beer right now guy. Don't you think? The honest guy? He has no.
I think there's a code amongst panhandlers. If somebody's already got the car, you can't jump in there.
If you don't have a face, you get my dollar. It's just like that one dude, like that one guy who's like got the Bernie face, who does the guy who had the acid attack or whatever, who goes on, and he always has like new Jordans and I was like, yeah, he deserves those new Jordans. He had acid in his face. I have a real problem with when I do St. Mark's. I'll do like spots around there, and I'll see. Those fucking dudes who just look just like me and look like everybody's got a backstory. Maybe they were like abused growing up and, come from a real, chaotic situation at home. But just them sitting on there with their fucking dogs. And
the dogs kill me. As a dog owner, it's very hard for me to walk by. And
sweet pit bulls. Yeah. And then you see like a fat guy with tiny arms playing drums.
I've seen that guy.
And you're like, this guy is a huge physical handicap, and he's playing shitty music, but like he's like trying, and you like shirtless, like, and you guys are like sitting here just like, oh, I made a bad choice. Of course, this is not New York City. Is not you're not gonna have like this isn't the city of hopes and dreams. It's the city of like, hey, I'm gonna try to like become better at whatever I want to become. And this is where I'm going to go. It's not a city of culture anymore. It's not fucking Berlin.
Well, because there's so many people, there's more chance of getting some change. Well, where do you stand on the ironic, funny signs, like the panhandlers with
I've seen it all. I have. Look, I get every
give me
once
money
in a while.
for weed.
Okay, I don't like that because I've just seen it too many times. Like somebody made me. I had to cancel my JetBlue flight.
They need
today.
better writers.
I canceled my JetBlue flight, and the woman actually kind of made me laugh. Like, it's the first time a telemarketer's ever made me laugh. And it was just so simple, but they've never done it before. So I'm like, because it was like I paid it was like $470, and then I paid an additional $70 so I might want more leg room on the way back because it was like a red eye. And I was like, "Can I get that back too?" Right? She goes, "No, I'm keeping that part for myself." And I like genuinely laughed. I'm like,
that's good.
None of these guys,
dry.
Yeah, none of
Dry
it, and she did it totally dry. And I was like, none of these ladies have ever or guys have ever made me laugh. So that was kind of fun.
And now you're dating.
And now we're dating. We're together. I bought a ring.
People think this is a big thing where it's like people think. Civilians often thinks that jokes are the way to be funny, and sometimes the way to be funny is just like an unexpected dry comment. You know what I mean? Just like something slightly off kilter.
Well, it's just
rye.
Yeah, rye.
If you will.
Yeah.
The funniest is still going to be like whatever shit your friends say to you. Like that's what every stand-up comic is like competing with. They're not like competing with like Richard Pryor or Chappelle or Maria Bamford or Louis or Burr. You're like competing for like am I going to make this guy laugh harder than his friends do when they're alone together? And that's really tough.
I forget. Did you grow up in the city?
I grew up in New Jersey, so I was like tri-state sort of thing.
Did you come
north, south, or mid?
North, Rutherford.
Got it.
Giant Stadium.
What was your mall?
Wow.
My mall, I mean, we would go to the Palisades
That's
sometimes.
how I figure out where you lived.
Yeah, we go to the Palisades.
Got it.
There's also one, I think
Well,
Palisades
Jake Plunkett was, he said he was.
Yeah, we grew up very near each other.
Yeah, the swamps. Did you come into the city a lot, though? He barely knew the city existed.
I came in a lot because my dad's a theater guy. He's a playwright, so
Right.
he would have readings here. And then I was very privileged. They would like take us to shows. And
You look,
but, you know,
you look like a playwright.
Yeah, I do. I have that look. I did. That's what I was originally going to do in high school. I wrote plays, and I won that Stephen Sondheim thing, and then like Young Playwrights thing, and then like I did it. It was published, which was cool, you know, at 18. But then like after that, I wrote a couple plays. I was drinking so much I really couldn't figure it out, like how to do the format. And then the last one I wrote like wasn't well researched enough, and I was just like, I'll just try stand up because acting also was like kind of hard.
Right.
Like acting's the hard like. Acting is so hard. My girlfriend's in casting and just seeing like how many people are submitted. It's crazy. You know, there isn't really. It's so much more luck. With comedy it's luck, but there still is a meritocracy to it, and that there's just it's more luck. And I'm not to say there's not meritocracy in acting, but it's still the luck thing you're hoping.
Well, speaking of that, I wanted to start the podcast off with you by using. I'm going to use some wrestling parlance because you're a fan, Matt.
I'll set this.
Bear
one
with.
up.
Matt doesn't.
No,
give a
I'm just
shit.
going to use a phrase. I was going to start by putting you over.
Oh,
I get it.
Compliment them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what that means. Yeah,
You hold a distinction for me. You have the my favorite opening joke of a late night set ever.
Oh shit! Which one was that?
The I look like the guy who
Sold
sold
Elvis's
Elvis's pills. I laughed legit out loud watching it, and then that's like
I literally
I just think
came
it's
up
so
with that
funny.
on the way to this.
Really? Not part of your act?
Because I looked at my act and I was like, and I had a lot of comics there who were just there supporting me. I'm like, is this? I said that and they laughed. I'm like, is this funny? And
the
they're
first
like,
time
yeah.
you said it was on TV.
Yeah,
what show?
amazing.
It was Conan. It was my last
Conan said his,
and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. This is the third time I'm doing the show, so I'll take a risk and I'll just do it. So I did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, a big part of it is you watch people who you know, and you're like, oh fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Conan. I watched it and I'm like, fuck, he's great.
That's the reverse.
That joke made me laugh. It's just such a funny, specific reference.
You earned the open with "I look like blank" joke.
Yeah.
Over time, you didn't just cheaply start with that.
I did. I think I've done a look like. I definitely did on my Fallon when I did that, and then I don't know if I did look like since then. I'm not sure. I probably have. I don't know. What's the?
I look like so and so and so and so had a baby.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's
But
always that
that's the,
shit.
The
I do a
jokes-
cheap hat trick sometimes.
The jokes that always stick out for me in those things are the really specific reference. It's like it's just what I'm tuned into. Like Tom Papa's classic, the Civil War bandage is the funniest about what his pillow looks like if you take it out of the. It looks like a Civil War bandage. To me, that's so funny.
He's
so
great.
anyway. Put you over strong now.
Thank
I'm going
you.
to just
tear me apart.
Tear you apart.
I remember you were. When did you start doing stand up? What year? When we
2006. 2006.
This was in New York?
Yeah.
So this is a time when I was like heavily out and around.
You kind of came back, I think, a year or two later, right?
No, I was out there. I lived in New York from 2006 to 2010, and I would see you out and about at shows a lot.
I would do mics for I was doing mics for years. In 2006, it was really tragic just because I was part of that whole bringer show scene and getting promised shit. And, if there's anything worse, I understand that people need to do them sometimes to support their clubs, but if there's anything worse than fucking
I'm a contrarian
way.
in this where I did bringers for a full year when I started, and I think if you can swing it, I think it's a better way to start than open mics. Because I think you're at least guaranteed an audience, and you build up your confidence. And if
I gravitated towards them.
If I had started at open mics, I think I would have just never continued.
I think you need to do bringers for the first 6 months.
Yeah,
and then from the 6 months to a year, you should bark. And then and there's no because you need to know then you need to do real shit, and then you do open mics. And and it's just Pete Holmes said this: you do the hardest shit first as a comic.
Yeah.
And then the rewards once you finally get to the bit, you're oh, this is easy because
you still want to do it,
was doing this shit. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I always said. It's if you're have your first TV set, you're not going to be nervous because you already you ate shit in front of 4 people 100 times. That's nerve wracking. Getting up and being there's a good chance nobody might laugh. But,
But you've already done it.
Wasn't there a documentary about you?
I did that MTV thing when I was 2011, 4 years.
I remember it, and I was like,
True Life. I look like the guy who sold
World
Elvis's
of Jenks,
pillows.
2010.
What is World of Jenks? Well,
it was a show that was briefly on MTV for 2 seasons. They did kind of a True Life thing.
He was very woke.
Yeah, he was a nice woke guy. But he did say something. He said something about me at the time. He goes, whenever I do, and I'm not like this guy anymore. He goes, whenever I'll do this, it's usually the football story but it's a football story, but it's really a story about this guy's family or something with this. And mine was also there's an addiction, alcohol slant to it too, which I think was a little disingenuous considering the amount of relapses I had since then. They
didn't know that.
They didn't know that at the time. But he was which I think was a real spiritual problem for me too. He's for you, it's all it is you want to do well at this, and that's not me anymore. But at the time, he's there isn't any other. Basically, what he was saying is this is just your life. This is it. This is all you bring home. And he was kind of right.
I remember seeing it though and thinking I feel you watch documentaries about stand-up and the stand-up always looks bad. And yours was they did an okay job of they made you were pretty funny on it and they captured that. It's they did a good. It wasn't you know what I mean? Some of those it's just
well, now you will go some things in the cab and you're just I just saw some, I won't say his name, but I saw somebody instructing comedy in a cab and I'm this guy serious, it's yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of pretenders, but even then it was I was 4 years in when I did that, so it wasn't I was gonna totally. It wasn't one of those things where my friends have always said it was funny, at that point I had already done Whiplash,
Yeah, there you go.
So I was at least ready to try to do something more,
Yeah. And we never lived. We never. When did you live in L.A.? You lived in L.A.
I think you left, and then I came in.
Yeah,
you filled the Golditch void.
I came in.
We filled that. We have the same
thing.
On the casting sheet.
Late 2014. I came in.
So that's right when I came back.
So late 2014.
No wonder I didn't see you for 7 years.
Yeah, and I had a script deal out there, and then that faded in that January 2015. It was and then I basically was just doing stand up, hoping for weekends. I had an award show writing gig, and then that August, Jamie Lee hired me, and David Martin, who's both of our managers, hired me to write on her show, and then I kind of did the staffing year for about 3 years straight. And this is definitely the most time I've had off from being in a room in 3 years, and it's been 2 months.
You're saying. How was the full-on network sitcom life? You did Superior Donuts?
Well, I mean, like 99% of the people I worked with were great, and
then Judd Hirsch was
Judd Hirsch was
the 1%.
I mean,
what an asshole that guy!
Anybody who says, like, I'm not going to do the actor thing, like, oh, everybody's amazing. Every time you're in a room, there's usually like one person. You're like, all right, come on.
That's life. That's
that's
working
life.
in an office.
That's working in
any
office.
business. There's no
absolutely. And maybe I was that person to somebody else at some point, but it was. Yeah, I mean, it was just. I mean, the thing is, like, my bosses there, which were Bob Daly, Neil Goldman, and Garrett Donovan, who was Superior Donuts, was on for 2 seasons. They were great, and I think that helped make the insanity of what a network show, writing a network show, entails, and especially one that's a multicam. But that first season, there were 80-hour weeks, and I had no life. I mean, I would do stand up when I could, but for the most part, I was like a total shell. You really get locked up at those jobs.
Yeah, 80 hours. 80 hours if it's necessary is fine. If it's but 80 hours of unnecessary is brutal.
Well, the thing is, it's only unnecessary, and it's usually unnecessary. 80 hours, even when it's necessary, isn't fine.
No,
I feel like 60 hours is fine.
Yes, that's true.
But you're getting the way that it was working there, which I get. They have a bigger audience than any cable net audience, but you have 2 months of pre-production that are pretty easy. You're out by 6:30 or 6, and then you get there and it's like, you do the table read on Monday. You basically do okay, so first show of the season, you do the table read that Wednesday. So then you're doing Wednesday writes, then you do a walkthrough Thursday, you do rewrites Thursday night, and then Friday you're doing a big run through, and that's where you get big notes, usually from the network. And then Saturday and Sunday you're writing jokes for alts. Like Saturday, so there's all of that. And then Monday...
Coming in on them.
Yeah, Monday you're on set doing... A lot of times I was brought on to do alt jokes on set. That's like what they found that's kind of what my strength was on that show. That always sounds like the most fun part. That's the most fun part, without a doubt. But while that's happening, there's another team of people who are writing that episode and getting that first draft ready. So on Wednesday, there's a new one. Being Tuesday night, everybody's supposed to be at taping. So it's just this, it's and you're doing it 20 weeks in a row, and you're getting notes not just from the network but from the studio and
Judge fucking Hirsch.
And then you got actors. In that system, the actors, it depends on. I feel like our you have to work with the actors, but it's like at a certain point, I think everybody's kind of, they always say this, like, the first season, you're writing for the network, second season, but then once the show becomes a hit, then you're writing for the actors, because people fall in love with the characters. And we did 2 seasons, so we didn't get to that point. But it was grueling, man. It was very grueling.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I heard you or somebody else that worked on Superior Donuts, but the donuts were real. And they had set, and people could take them home.
They had a set. Yeah, I took some home. And then they would send us new. I mean, I gained so much weight on that fucking show.
Yeah.
But they had a bakery offset that was doing all our donuts.
It's unbelievable.
Did you ever at any point get sick of donuts or no?
No, I'm a fat guy, so I always was like, there's so many different flavors. You're like, I'll just switch it up to Boston cream or maple cream.
I'm not going to have one, and then it gets to like your 17th hour, and you're like, all right, I'm fucking having a donut.
Yeah. That's so funny.
All bets are off with craft service, and then obviously on top of that, you're making a show about a donut shop with real donuts.
It's almost kind of like you got back into playwriting, working on a multicam. It's like a little bit.
I mean, a little bit, but playwriting, it's like you have complete control.
Yeah,
it's like the author has complete control. That's the writer's medium. I feel like sometimes that's why it's hard for writers to playwrights to transition to TV, because they're making the money they haven't made, but they're like, what do you mean we got to change this? And you're like, you're not running the show anymore.
I guess it's really actors that's the most similar, probably. For actors, I would imagine multicam and acting in a play is pretty similar.
Very
as
similar,
opposed to a single cam and a film on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then compare that with that sort of breakneck with writing on a variety show like
well, it was different because I didn't feel like it wasn't like like Superior Donuts, it was like the hours were longer, but Michelle's shows the hours weren't as long, but we were working all the time.
Yeah.
No
donuts.
There was no donuts, although very nice crisp services.
Yeah.
You know, like when those came along. But yeah, it felt like the work was more like you know, us trying to find the perfect slant on it rather than they don't like this particular interaction and you've got to like incorporate, you know.
Right.
It was less you know, when you're working on a network, it's more Frankensteining.
Right.
Shit. And and I'm not even saying that that's like necessarily a bad thing either. Like I don't know if it's a good thing either. I think it's just a thing, you know, like but a lot of the shows that have the most power, like, you know, as far as like network shows are the stuff like the Laurie stuff, and he's kind of like the buck stops with him.
Yeah.
You know, whether you hate or love Chuck Lorre shows, it's like he's like, this is what the show is, you know.
But writers always swap stories about the time where it was like, no, man, I held my firm and I was like, you know, I stuck to my guns, and then the next thing you knew, we were like #1 in the ratings, and like there probably are stories that you just don't hear about, like the network made us change this and we hated it, but it worked, and then for like 10 years because of that one change that an executive made us do.
There's definitely some notes. Nobody can be. The 2018 is the year of everybody's right or everybody's wrong, you know, and like and you know, like you quickly see that, like, oh, you're not right about everything, they're not right about everything, and you know, I mean, I think that
well, some people are wrong about everything, but nobody's right about
nobody's right about everything.
Yeah.
Like, and even then, like, you know, I went in, you know, kind of like with that alt comic thing of like, not like, you know, like, well, you know, like 2.5 Men, this is their shit. But then I would hear about how Chuck Lorre would be successful. And like some of the stories he was fucking right about, he'd be like, they'd like be doing this with the character, and they'd be like, don't make that. People like him. Don't fuck with that.
Yeah.
Like, you hear that? You're not hearing what they're hearing.
Yeah.
And then he understood what people were hearing. Now, you know, are those the shows that I really like Mom, but like, you know, for the most part, I mean, I'm more inclined to, you know, I just finished The Sinner and I like Better Call Saul. That's not what America for the most part is watching. You know?
I don't know what America is watching.
I think we're all watching our own shit, you know, but like still, as far as like big numbers, it's like still Young Sheldon, it's still Big Bang, it's still that kind of shit.
But even that compared like what it was is like
no, but there wasn't any options either back then. Like you could have a fucking sketch on Carson that bombed and people would still watch it the next day because that was the option. You know? There wasn't another option.
So are you hanging around in New York now that the break is over?
Yeah, it's been awesome these last 2 months.
You said before we went on the air, these last 2 months have been some of the best times.
Oh my God.
Life.
I mean, it was great, man. I mean, it was like you know, it's like I get to see my chick all the time, you know, like, and I get to, you know, like right after the break, I went into promoting an album. And you know, I got to do Dan Harris's podcast, who I've liked him forever, and he's kind of gotten me into more forms of meditation. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was staffing on a show. I got to do a professional wrestling roast of my favorite.
I was going to bring that up at the end.
That was fucking.
We'll
awesome.
get to that.
Who was it? No, we can talk. Who was it the roast of?
Well, it was the roast of like Bruce Pritchard, who's a huge like wrestler, runs a huge great wrestling podcast, and there were people like Jeff Jarrett, Eric Bischoff, Jerry the King Lawler, Brutus Barber Beefcake, Alundra Blaze, X-Pac. It was
like the biggest nerdy rundown of the dais of. It's like a dream dais for somebody to make like inside wrestling jokes.
Yeah.
Mike Lawrence bounced a bunch of his stuff.
Oh, it was
he
killed.
Was so much fun just on the phone listening to
me and him did because we both were angling to have the set of the night, and like I feel like we were pretty equal, you know. Like I think it was very equal. I think he had the bigger zingers. I was more consistent. Like if you wanted to like. Because I was like, to prep it, all I did was watch Geraldo sets because I thought he was like the most consistent out of all those dudes. But like I had the most, like the closest I'll ever come to a professional wrestling roast. Being a professional wrestler was after I was done, you know, and I knew I had done really well. I stood up on the stage and I did the Too Sweet thing, and everyone stood up and did the two, and I held it like it was Michael's retirement walk off, and then I walked off. That was the fucking biggest thrill
I did
ever.
A couple Iron Sheik roasts at Caroline's writing for the wrestlers and stuff, and It's an interesting, those brought in like a Howard Stern type of crowd more so than like a
well, Shuli was there. He killed.
Yeah.
It was crazy because when we got there, because I was like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it for free. Just pop my record on their podcast, and they did that.
And it's like fucking millions of people hearing that you have an album.
Yeah, and that was great. But like, we got there 1 hour and a half beforehand, and I was at this point just cutting jokes down. And then they're like, and then none of people like the whole wrestling culture, as you know, is so bizarre because you don't know, everybody's working you.
Yeah.
But there is also a genuine fear of them being worked by you. So I got there, and there's this wrestler who I had done commentary for this Joey Janela thing. That was another thing I had to do. I had to do live commentary for a professional wrestling match for this Joey Janela Lost in New York thing, and I totally fucking blew it. And it was this weird situation where I was doing it. I had gotten a character. I'd gotten like a leather cap, aviator glasses, I looked like the world's sketchiest Uber driver.
In your gimmick?
Yeah, and I went there and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to be, the next Paul Heyman, Bobby Heenan. And I totally biffed it by blowing that Sabu was going to be there because I made a Sandman joke, but I said Sabu instead. And like all the juggalos that were running the event kind of ran me out of town. And backstage, so I literally ran out with a duffel bag without my travel money, from the back of the arena.
Wow.
And but backstage, it was still cool to see them watch their matches. But it was such a weird because while I was prepping to this, I got a text that Michelle's show was canceled. So it was like watching
in the middle of the
middle of this. So it was like 2 giant failures in one night. The show that I'm writing for gets canceled, and I fucked that up. But then I guess
they cancel each other out.
They kind of cancel. Well, not really because I failed at that one too.
Sure,
but then the roast came from that. So I guess the success came from that. But yeah, it was crazy. I'm doing a joke on it now. A 2018 wrestling locker room is very different than the 90s and 80s. Because Joey Janela gets up there and he's like, "All right, you guys ready to fuck some shit up? You ready to tear the house down? Before we get out there, nothing homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic.
you can't do anything.
Yeah, you can't." He's like, they're very socially conscious.
Yeah.
Did you have to jump in and write material for?
Well, that's the thing.
Did
when
wrestlers come unprepared?
They came unprepared, and I didn't know that they were coming unprepared. And I wanted to save all my good shit, but I gave Pritchard a couple things. Both didn't work. One of which was his fault. One of which was mine.
Sure.
One was he fucked up the delivery. The other one did. And it's also weird pitching jokes to wrestlers because some people are like, yeah, say the worst thing you can possibly say. And then other people are like, yeah, I don't want to go there, man. That seems like low-hanging fruit.
Right.
There's also like that. So that was kind of bizarre. But the coolest thing of the night is that you kill there, and then the rest of the night was me hanging out in a hotel room with Briscoe and Patterson and a bunch of drunken juggalos while they were telling me, Patterson was telling me how, booking Rey Mysterio's Royal Rumble, how he did that and shit like that. And that, for a wrestling fan is as cool as it can get, and then I was able to, for that 2 months, I was able to work a day on Tim Dillon's pilot, write this short. We want to turn a movie with Evan and Mateo Lane, and then was able to, I always wanted to work the Comedy Cellar. That was my one last thing as a comic. So I just got past there a week and a half ago. So it was a nice 2 months.
And you did some outdoorsy stuff.
Yeah, well, that was
Instagram, right?
Yeah, in June, I went to Vermont with my chick, and then my lady, my girlfriend, my goddess. I don't know what's the. I bought a ring, so it's going to probably be soon-to-be wife. But
did you just break some news on the? Sorry,
I mean, she knows it's
podcast?
coming. She knows it's coming. She
Great,
just wants to be surprised in how it happens. So I'm not breaking that. But she gave me dimensions. You know what I mean? They know what's going on.
But here's the thing, though, is let's say all those opportunities came up while you were working on something. Are you the type of person who would turn them down, or would you make it work? I mean, if you had if your dream was always to get past to the cellar, and you had an audition, but you were in a middle of a shit, or not just a busy writing job, would you say no, or would you say yes and figure it?
Well, the thing is I had to work to get to try to get my audition and get 4 recs together, and and send up, a set, and then, so it actually took some really proactive shit, and, I could not be there. I could bomb this week and not be in there next week, so it's one of those things, but I just wanted my name on the wall once. That was my thing. I was like, I need to have that for my ego, and because it's a really fun room to play, and that helps, and getting nothing's better than stand-up money. Like, even though network money, you make tons of more, and you can buy a house. Like, just getting some cash in your hand after doing this, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah, especially when it's unexpected. Like, if you do, that's what I love, is doing like an alt room. And where you're just like, I'm just doing this to work out some material, and then someone hands you $40 at the end of that, and you're like, whoa, you didn't need to do that.
Yeah, I'll take it every time.
Yeah,
Ari Shafir pays you to do his podcast, and that was unexpected. I was like, oh wow, that was nice.
We do not.
I didn't think so. That wasn't me being passive.
You actually owe us.
I actually owe you money. I'm actually losing money because I took an Uber here and my back hurts. But that's always the best. It's like the unexpected money is always.
Yeah,
the best. But no, it's hard to say no once you get in that. Once you start making like network money, and once you get in that system, it's kind of hard because you're like, if I do this enough, I can buy a house.
Right. Yeah.
I can retire comfortably.
The other part of it is though, like, it's like, at least for me, somebody who's like, I've never done, I'm not a big touring comic with a big name and specials and things like that. So the time when I have the most cred is when I have a good writing job in terms of stand-up. Like, that's my number. So, like, that's when, like, and I feel like if I don't try to do some stand-up now, like, when this job ends, whenever that is, whether it's like 1, 5, 10 years from now, it's gonna be a lot harder for me to get a gig. Be like, this guy used to write for X. It's.
I mean, that's the thing. Like.
So you kind of have to
you got to use it.
It's
like my thing is like. Okay, I've done Conan, Fallon. I wrote for the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Those things are timeless. Those things aren't going to go away until they do. But like White House Correspondents' Dinner, maybe that'll go away too. But
you might have killed that.
Yeah, which is I mean that's. I would love my credit to be. I was part of the team that helped kill the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That's a great fucking credit. But yeah, you're always like, because things go away, so eventually it's going to go away.
TV is going away.
Yeah, eventually it's going to go away.
How did you find the ring shopping process?
Well, I knew a girl who knew one of like the diamond handlers in New York, and so I kind of like went through a back channel to make sure I wasn't getting ripped off, and I think I got something nice.
All right,
talk to your fellow Orthodox.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like if you're dabbling, if you're like, I'm about to be anti-Semitic, and then you go through a ring buying process, it'll just reinforce all your predisposed. like there's 10 Jews who control the diamond trade in New York City. I'm giving you the number to one of them.
Yeah, that's true.
That whole business is crazy.
This is the part of the pod where we talk
get into your
day.
What's a day like for
I felt like I just did a bio. There was like nothing funny there, so I'll try to. Well, today was great. I mean,
we can do today.
Well, last night I got bad sleep. Because we have a tiny Maltipoo dog that's a rescue, but like I'm terrified of Christophering it from The Sopranos and sitting on it all the fucking time, and he like just shows up randomly, and he's like he's either in love with me or doesn't want anything to do with me. So I'm always, whenever I'm going to bed, because I go to bed a little later now because I'm doing little later sets, and I want to watch Raw and Better Call Saul. I go in, I'm like, okay, he's not trying to sit on me. But he's at the foot of the bed, so I got to put him up. Then he crawls over to me, and then I'm nervous. My girlfriend, who's in sleep, is so I have to like wake her up to tell her at what point, like he's at what part of her body, so she doesn't crush him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, he's at your feet now. And she's like, oh, okay. And then I just see this poofy head, because it's in the darkness, like a Jaws fin, just start walking up. And I'm like, he's on the left side. He's like, oh, okay.
Wow.
And she's like waking up from a nightmare, being like thinking I'm talking about like a monster, but it's just this tiny, adorable dog, like finding different places in between us to sleep. And so then I woke up I slept till like fucking 11, which was great. And then I had some like work call shit to do, just about like possible jobs and stuff. Then I was like on my way.
Food at any point in there?
I had we were doing this Eat Clean Bro thing, so I had a chicken Caesar wrap that was already prepared
for breakfast. Well, I guess
breakfast,
at that point
I think I think I woke up too late, so I had a lunch. And then I went to a 12-step meeting, and then like I was working all day on this one thing that I'm applying for and some other stuff.
if we can talk about the 12-step meetings, are they? What are they actually like compared to? They're represented in TV in a certain cookie cutter way always.
Right.
Like school gymnasium, circle of chairs.
Church, I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Church room,
I mean, like, I wish
table full of donuts.
I mean, I've seen some crazy shit happen, but you can't really talk about that. Like, there's some crazy stuff that happens.
But the setup is basically what is represented.
Everything is different. I mean, like,
every sitcom ever.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, there's different clubhouses, too, where it's like, hey, this is the meeting houses, that we're going to, or, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, there's just one in my neighborhood I go to, and then I got a text that, like, shit, the laundry's coming, and I was like, oh, fuck, it was a miscommunication, so I'm on my way back to the laundry, and then, like, I get there, and then my girlfriend's like, no, now they're at the laundry place. I'm like, okay, so they're coming back. Like, no, you got to walk to the laundry place to go get the laundry. So I walk to go get it, and then I sit there, and, I'm resenting it, of course, which shouldn't. I mean, I get such fucking privilege problems, but I'm like, at the laundry place, she goes, no, we just sent it out again. So I'm like, now I'm at, like, this fucking cat and mouse game with this laundry guy. I'm like, all right, tell him I'll come back to the apartment. As I'm walking back to the apartment, I see this guy, and we make eye contact, and he's got my laundry bag. So a block away from the laundry place, I end up having to grab my own laundry bag from the delivery guy and then just schlep it back in the rain.
Isn't that crazy that a random person is just walking around with like half of your wardrobe?
Yeah. I'm like,
just like if you break it down, how ridiculous that is.
Yeah.
And he looked eyes, and he's like, and then
why is this Asian man
just said Sarah's
all
boyfriend. So I like grabbed it and then brought it back.
It's interesting that it's funny that you see it as a privileged problem because there are many places in the country where the poorest people have their own washing machine. You know what I mean?
Right,
it's like
right.
In New York, that's like, I mean, having a washing machine is privileged.
That's true. I guess not going to the place and doing it myself.
I guess so, yeah. I guess that's true.
But if you've ever been to one of those, especially in LA, you're like, how many murders have fucking happened at this laundromat?
Yeah.
It's just always the sketchiest.
Or worse, open mics.
Yeah. Is there a laundromat open mic?
There are. They exist in LA.
There's no point in doing stand-up in LA.
Yeah.
I've done it a lot, and I'm just like, it's just like, I'm like, this is such a better city for stand-up. It's like heads and shoulders above it.
So did you make it back to the meeting, or did the laundry thing?
No, then I listened to one on my phone, and then I just started watching.
Oh, there's new technology, you can.
Yeah, you can get stuff on your phone. So I did that, and then I came to this podcast. It was a pretty easy day. I mean, I worked all day on this one thing.
What's working like? What's your setup? You work at home?
This is weird. I finished this. Yeah, I finished that short thing, which I was writing with somebody else. But then this was just applying for a job. So it's getting into that mode again was oh my god, I totally forgot how to write these type of jokes. And so it's a lot of just. But it's actually a trickier one because it's not a lot of work. So all of them have to be great. So you're like, well, what I really want to, because if you're doing 30 to 60 jokes a day or 100 jokes a day, you're kind of like, all right, just fucking get them out. Some of these are gonna be good, some of these are gonna be bad. But having more time on it is a different weird type of pressure, and it's a lot of just call. What it's like when you're in between jobs and you're calling the whole fucking time to being all right, are we setting this meeting up? Okay, is this trip planning? Is that? It's you almost become your own personal assistant. That's half of your day. But
that's really the premise of the podcast is that people say they're so busy, but most of their day is just returning calls and emails and that kind of stuff.
And making sure, which I guess is busy, but I really do think a human being only has 4 hours of real creative work in them a day. As far as writing actual shit.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is either rewriting or performing, which isn't the same thing. But as far as putting ideas on a piece of paper, writing down new shit, writing down fresh track for dialogue or new jokes, I really feel like you have a 4-hour window. And then after that, it's just refinement.
Yeah.
Some people argue with me about that.
How did the meetings go when you were in the 80-hour weeks? I
didn't go to enough, and I think that's one of the reasons I fucking relapsed. Because I have a year back next month. Because it was harder because you'd have to get out at 8:30. Go to an 8:30 morning before you're doing a 12-hour day. It's kind of a pain in the ass. But now I'm like, I got to go to 3 a week, and I got to do this. And
that's why probably why you said it's like the happiest you've ever been these last 2 months.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. You wake up, you meditate, you fucking pray, you do gratitude, you do all that shit to like kind of like, all right, let's start this again, start anew.
What's your work setup? Are you like at home? Are you in a coffee shop?
Well, I'm at home now because my girlfriend's at an office, and I'm usually wearing like workout shorts and a t-shirt. Which is great. I don't really do coffee house.
Yeah, I'm not a big coffee house guy. Couch,
sometimes I'm
desk.
upright. A lot of times I'm like laying on a couch with a laptop on my stomach or a laptop on my bed. Like sometimes I'll be sitting up. It really just depends. I mean, now I'm back to like, I'm like, God, I haven't done this in a while. Because like usually what I would do when I was on a show is like, I would need to have one day where I did shit and I just watched like football or wrestling or like caught up on TV shows or like got something to eat, hung out with a friend or something. But I would have one day where I'd be like, all right, half this day is going to be working on writing, the other half is going to be my own projects. And because of that, over a span of, 3 years, I wrote one new movie on my own, but I wasn't writing a lot of my own half hours because I was just so focused on other people's shit, and it was harder to come up with new stand-up bits because you're like exerting yourself.
One for you, two for them.
Yeah, more like 1 for you, 10 for them.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, well, this could maybe work for me. I don't think anyone else could do this, so we'll see.
Yeah. What do you got going on after this? You going to go do some spots?
I'm going nothing. I got nothing after this, man. I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat.
And you're cool with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, with a soon-to-be fiance, do you take a night off with her? Like, I'm not going to do any sets on Wednesday.
Well, I don't do it by that. Like tomorrow's like a big podcast day, so I have like a therapy at 1 p.m. and then I'm like recording 3 podcasts. Like that's my day tomorrow.
So you have the wrestling podcast.
I'm doing Total F and Marks, which is my own podcast on all things comedy, which I also Showbiz Studios was nice enough to kind of be a foster parent for when we weren't having a studio, but. I just got a new producer now, so Alex was doing it for a little bit, and this guy's just a fan, so he's like, it's experience. I'm like, thank God, buddy.
Yeah.
But he's been doing a great job, and then I'm doing I'm co-hosting the Ringers one with Shoemaker.
Sure.
So, and then I'm just recording 2 of my own tomorrow. So I'm interviewing Blue Meanie and Colt Cabana tomorrow.
That's fun.
Yeah, it should be
Brian's a good guy, the Blue Meanie.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Philly.
I met him at StarCast. Yeah, great dude. Really sweet guy.
Nice, man.
He's a big Eagles fan.
Well, there we go. I already like him.
The Blue Meanie.
Are you guys Eagles fans?
I am. Yeah, we are.
That's a common bond.
Yes.
Are you a Giants fan?
Yeah.
Growing up like in the bowels of the stadium?
Yeah. It's a very confusing team to be a fan.
What was your diner?
Oh, when I was growing up, I mean, we had the Candlewick Diner that was near us.
Good.
Yeah, it was good.
What's your diner order?
Back then it was like, you get the disco fries and then fucking whatever, and then and then when I was in Westchester, New York, it was like the Mount Kisco Diner, which wasn't nearly as good. But yeah, the New Jersey is the best diners. I mean, New York has great ones, New York City, but like Westchester diners suck in compared to New Jersey or New York.
New Jersey Turnpike diners.
Yeah,
you want the diner to
the metal facade.
You want it to. I was going to say like reflect the sun in a way that is blinding.
Yeah,
that is, you want to not be able to.
French fries with everything, anything and everything.
Yeah. Just put it all on there. Scoop it all on.
I fucking love a diner.
Yeah.
Play Thin Lizzy on the jukebox.
Yeah. Jukebox at the table.
Yeah.
I was just listening to Doughboys, and they did a whole episode about Johnny Rockets and how they're getting rid of the theme and how like sad they were.
What?
Yeah.
What is it going to be?
It's just like a generic
mediocre burgers.
Yeah.
That seems very strange.
Yeah, that's very bizarre to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. What's
it's just becoming like a generic flair on the wall.
They're not going to be Shake Shack.
Yeah,
they're just
their
going to do
burgers
a burger.
aren't good enough.
No.
Their shakes are fantastic.
Not going to beat Red Robin.
Red Robin is good honey mustard.
Yeah, I
always turn it to.
I think the worst is Ruby Tuesdays, right? We can agree.
Ruby Tuesdays, I could talk about this forever, but Ruby Tuesdays was a favorite of our family, like high school, sort of into college, and then they changed everything, and it went downhill. They had a big salad bar that was actually I liked. And then I guess maybe
could you just order salad bar like at Ponderosa?
Yeah, but I guess they were ahead of the trend in getting rid of the salad bar because you don't really have a salad bar
besides
anymore.
like Sizzler,
yeah. I also once ordered a chicken sandwich that came raw in the middle at Ruby Tuesdays.
Oh my god!
And I was like, this is raw. And to their credit, they brought me a new one like 30 seconds later that was fully cooked and didn't charge me for the sandwich, which I was almost like it was kind of worth getting the raw one.
Dude, I went to this incredible Italian restaurant in Little Italy, El Cortiel, I think it's called, or something like that. I forget.
Pete Coriel.
Yeah, he does like a 15 minutes before you eat. But it was us and one of the fucking Jersey Shore girls was there.
Wow, nice.
I was not at our table, but it was like me, Tim Dillon, my girlfriend, and then Chris, one of the guys who wants to stay, and his girlfriend. And somebody from the Jersey Shore was in back of us. It was fucking delicious. But the best part of it was like there was like a Chinese vendor that came in who was like arguing with them about some shit, and like we were watching it because the Chinese guy was not fucking standing down and the Italian guy was not fucking standing down.
Oh, like he wanted to come in with roses.
It was like
shit?
a Donnie Brasco
wow.
shit, and they started screaming. And then he noticed, the Italian guy noticed us looking at this. He goes, "Look at this! You're making my fucking customers look at this shit." And the Chinese guy just still didn't back down. He goes, "No, you didn't do this. You didn't charge this shit." And then all of a sudden, he goes, "Fine, we'll talk about that down here." And we never saw that Chinese guy again.
Wow.
And then the angry Italian guy was replaced by an equally angry Italian man. It's like a show. It's like a murder mystery review, but just with like 1970s racial prejudice.
They're just actors that come in to provide entertainment.
Yeah,
at a Little Italy restaurant.
Yeah, like because they looked at us and they were like, "Oh, we're sorry." I'm like, "No, this is like great. Keep going."
This sounds like what Johnny Rocket should become.
Yeah. I feel like you're so fun to talk to just about like comedy issues. Like, what's your whole take on YouTube comedians?
I don't know. I mean, I think that it's kind of faded now, right?
Yeah. Well,
after that guy found a bunch of dead people in the woods,
Jake Paul or whatever.
Yeah, and then everybody was like calling him out on it, and I'm like, you helped create him.
Yeah.
Like that was the whole thing. Where it's like, oh, you think the guy who was like monetizing his incredibly banal, like boring, uninformed daily routines, if he was like going to try to amp it up by going to a suicide forest, he was going to handle this in a sensible fucking NPR way? You fucking
doing
morons.
It for clicks.
Yeah. So it's like those people that go after him. I think it's like, yeah, I used to hate YouTube stars too, and I remember when I did like. I remember it's just a different mindset, man. When I was on with that variety comic list in like 2013, 2014, and I think I'm on one of the more lower successful tiers now. If you can put all those people up there, but you know, it's been fine. It's helped for sure. But like we were there with this one YouTube guy, Spoken Reasons, and I forget what he said, but it was like they asked him like, "What do you want?" And it was like something similar to like, you know, domination, take over the world. It was like it was very different than like a stand-up answer.
Yeah. They're just
they're
different breed.
It's a different breed. There are people, they've really made it on their own, you know, like, so it's like, but yeah, they're terribly unfunny, and, you know, you can't really build a show around them. Like,
and people keep trying.
People keep trying, but they don't have the licks or anything.
And they haven't bombed.
Yeah,
they
but
haven't failed.
But like that, their own art form is something people want to watch. People want to watch people play fucking video games and unbox videos for whatever fucking reason that I don't understand. It's like ASMR. Some things are just like soothing to people.
Yeah.
So that's it. But then don't try to like make the like dog that danced like, you know, to the Beverly Hills theme, which I've seen at an open mic. Then have him comment on current day events.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to like no, they're all so funny. He's like, no, they're not funny. You liked them because they fucking played video games for you. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, keep them doing that.
This is it. I just like serving up topics to Dan.
Yeah, topics for Dan.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a new show.
There you go.
It's like they're like, oh, YouTube stars aren't funny. I'm like, yeah, that's like saying like, I don't understand why the bear attacked me when I fed it outside my car.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be funny. They're supposed to just do the fucking banal bullshit that got them to that place. So it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's like expecting like I'm supposed to accept that. You know, like every time an athlete's a good actor, we're always just like, oh, that was crazy that was good. You know, but it's never like, they're not supposed to be good. That's not like, not why what they're supposed to. Nobody's like, there's not many triple like threats, really.
Well, OJ. acting,
OJ, I was saying
murder.
this. I don't know if you saw that Sacha Cohen video.
Yeah,
but he handled that the best out of all of them.
He really did. Yeah.
It was crazy. Like they're gonna do this. Dad goes, "Oh man, I can't say that." He's like, I'm like, you would have been fucking. Like you would have been on Good Morning America if you hadn't killed your wife. You would have been. You would have been all part of our lives.
He was like the most savvy celebrity of all time.
Because if he walked down angry, it would have looked bad too. So
yeah, so he knew what to do. He was just like, she's a very beautiful lady.
Yeah,
and then like, yeah. He had that thing, and the whole. Yeah. It's like the whole thing was like kind of like you're like, God damn it! Yeah. Like I hate this because it's not like he handled this better than all the Republican guys who've been on the show.
Yeah. This has been amazing.
Wait, we got to quick
do
blow off. The blow off. How do you blow people off? How do you get out of doing things?
Well, I just told you before I got this, I got something else that was for more money, so that was easy.
You were just like, sorry.
But I've used that before when I haven't.
Somebody's like, hey, let's get a beer on Tuesday, and you're like, sure. And then Tuesday comes, and you're like, fuck that.
Well, I think location is tough. There's people that I want to see that I'm like, yeah, let's meet at this area. And I'm like, oh, my God, that's going to be a schlep. But, I think distance is... I mean, I think now amongst busy people, it's good. I don't understand why the art of the phone conversation hasn't come
back.
It's got there's certain guys I call all the time, and I talk to them for like an hour, and that's a hangout.
Yeah,
wow,
that should be the hangout. Like I don't need to. What are we gonna do? Like I bet there's me and Tim Dillon have terrific phone conversations. Every time we hang out in person, there's something tragic that happens. So we should just keep it as a phone conversation. Really.
Yeah,
I think the phone needs to make a big play back.
I think it is. I think we're gonna push back that way.
Well, yeah. With Julia, we were talking about if a guy calls you, it's creepy. Now,
yeah,
it's considered creepy in dating if you call.
No, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Also, that's just not like. Yeah, I feel like asking you how your day is, like how your day's doing is like calling and just saying that is weirder than doing like dirty photos back and forth now. you know, like that's kind of like the age we live in. But I'm a big phone call guy.
Interesting. Just I hate the phone.
I
love phone talking.
How does I can't do this because something offered me more money? How does that fly with people? Like, what did they?
I mean, they should understand that.
Yeah. Were they like, oh, that's cool, or in general, or
I don't know. I don't know what this guy's emailed me back yet. Let me check. We can do it on air.
Let's do it
if we want. I think it's gonna be fine. If he does, it's like that's.
I bet he wrote, "Cool, no worries."
Yeah,
that's my guess. Yes,
that's. I don't think I'm gonna get it back, but it's like. What the fuck are you gonna say when somebody's offering you, more money?
No.
I mean, that's crazy, especially in like a he's not a maniac, especially in New York and L.A. where it's like, oh, just pick one of the other million comedians.
Yeah.
That you have. I have not. No, I have not gotten a text back yet.
Okay, all right. You'll let us know. It's a reason to bring you back.
So it'll be back, and I'm sorry if I wasn't funny during the career explanation.
No, it's fine. No, we love it. It's an amazing story. Coming up from the swamps of New Jersey.
Well, here in the swamps of Jersey. Anybody a Springsteen fan?
Oh,
probably
yeah.
Not,
I saw the Broadway show.
I've been getting, Christine Nagel's like, you got to go see it. But I know she's
He's
great.
Funny.
I bet, but it's on Netflix in January, so I'm not going to see it.
Wait.
Although I heard you had to see the John Mulaney and Nick Kroll thing on Broadway, and I just saw it on Netflix. As soon as I hear it's on Netflix,
also very good. That was fun. I saw that
I'm like, as soon as it's on Netflix, I'm like, I don't want to pay $900 now. It's going to be on Netflix.
$900.
That's true.
Nangel's Philly girl holds a place in my heart.
Oh, it's so funny.
Her Philly accent because it's so accurate.
It's great.
It's like the best in the
she would break it out in writers' rooms.
Game.
The album is still out there.
Still no real winners here. It's still an album available on all platforms. Buy it would be the best thing for me financially, but if not, stream it.
Total F and Marks is the podcast.
Total F and Marks is the podcast. I'm also on the Ringer until I'm not. But I'm going to be on this month. I'll probably be on next month unless I find out tomorrow I've been. Fired for saying something incendiary about, I don't know,
Bobby
Chad
Lashley.
Gable. Like, I'm trying to think of the most banal person I can think of.
I don't even know who that is. But the way you said it.
Well, it's like somebody that's like, how could you say anything?
There's nothing.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler, white guy. There's nothing really, that you could say that would probably get you fired.
And you're just living the dream now.
I'm living the dream, man.
And you're not going anywhere? You're staying in New York?
I'll probably end up going at some point again.
Congratulations on the impending engagement.
I think so. If she says no, then that'll be a real entertaining.
Then we will definitely
follow up.
That will be the best blow off.
I went to Jared
of all time. We will have. If she says no, we have to have her back on to do the blow off.
She says no, we want to bring you both on.
Yeah,
and we want to hear.
She's like,
about
someone offer me more money.
Yeah. Blackout. On that note, stay busy, everybody.
Because I'm busy. Whenever I get with her, say I'm busy. And I'm gonna hit you later because I'm busy with her.